Perfect. Well, welcome everyone to this last session. And first of all, before I get started, thanks, David, for putting this event together. You told me earlier on it was a big success so far. So I hope I can, help contribute to that as well. It is 7 p.m. already, so I will try to stay within my time limits in the interest of everybody, being able to get some dinner perhaps or go to sleep, depending on where you are. All right, so my name is Daniel Sinnig. I'm from TradingIndicators.com, and I am greeting you today from our beautiful office here in downtown Montreal in Canada, which is also our headquarters. And today's topic, and I tried to make it a bit, funky for the late hour today, is called Liquid Fib, harnessing the power of liquidity zones and Fib levels. And I hope it fits right into the theme of this conference. So what does this mean? What am I trying to express with that? And what can you take away from this? Well, here's the idea. The idea is that if we can find an agreement between what liquidity zones are telling us, and if these line up with Fibonacci levels, we get very strong zones or levels on your price chart to which price will react in a very special way, which can give the rise to very interesting and powerful trade setups. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to see how we can match these two techniques, the power of liquidity zones and the power of Fib levels, if we can match them up and how we can match them up to find these powerful setups. Well, before we get into this, let me quickly introduce myself. So I am Daniel Sinnig, and I am one of the founders of TradingIndicators.com. And you know what? Perhaps my background is a bit different from the typical background that you may encounter of the speakers of these conferences. So my upbringing was actually in software engineering. And for the longest time of my career, I wanted to become a professor actually in software engineering. So I went through all these levels. I did my master's, I did my PhD, a postdoc. I was teaching at various universities, and they even have a profile on a radio professor if you want to check it out. But you know what? During all these years, I was fascinated by the world of trading. So I started trading on the side. But as you start out as a beginner, you make all kinds of mistakes. And so did I. So I revenge traded. I took too much risk. I traded when market conditions were not right. And after donating quite a bit of money to the markets, I came to the hard realization, trading is not as straightforward as I thought, and I need help. And for me, as a software engineer, needing help meant I need better tools which will help me make better trading decisions. So I rolled up my sleeves and I started coding. And the very first indicators that we've written at TradingIndicators.com, these were primarily and exclusively for our own use. And only once we realized, hey, these tools actually help me make better trading decisions, perhaps others will benefit from these indicators as well. And this is really how the story behind our online store, the online store of TradingIndicators.com, started. So we've been out there now for almost 10 years. So our 10-year anniversary is coming up soon. And we have grown our team, and 3 of the key players can be seen here. So I'm Daniel, I'm the guy here on the left-hand side. I have created Trading Indicators together with Homa. The woman in the middle, I met Homa back in grad school, back in my days in academia. And we actually were stuck in the same research lab for years, a lab without any windows. And I guess it was a very bonding experience. And ever since, we've been working on business ideas together. And we're also joined by Nicholas. Nicholas is the mastermind behind many of our latest innovations in terms of indicators, but also trading dashboards and scanners. And in fact, a little fun fact, Nicholas was a former student of mine in one of my C++ classes. So if you know a bit of coding, you probably heard the word C++ before. Anyways, so over the years, we have built way over 700 different trading indicators, fully automated strategies, trading scanners, trading dashboards for clients all over the world. So we have lots of clients here in Canada, in the US, but also in Europe, where I am from, in Asia, even in Australia and New Zealand. And most of what we do is rooted in what is called technical analysis, which is basically a pattern analysis of your price chart. We believe that fundamental information is almost immediately priced into your chart. And by analyzing a price chart, you will indirectly also take into account fundamental information. We strongly believe that trading should be simple, and trading, in fact, is simple, but you need to know what to look for. And what I'm going to show you today in this presentation is how I break down a price chart to find powerful setups. All right, so of this, just one more thing before we get started. I need to remind you that trading does contain substantial risk and therefore is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which you actually can afford to lose. When it comes to backtest performance or hypothetical performance or anything based on historical data, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trade setups shown in this webinar, in this presentation, should not be construed as trade advice. These are for informational purposes only. All right, so with this out of the way, let's get started. A couple of years ago, we have made, I'll call it an observation. We found out that any chart, no matter what it is, it could be a 1-minute chart, a 5-minute chart, a daily chart, it could be a stock chart or a futures chart or a crypto chart, any chart really has what we call landmarks. These are special areas of price to which price reacts in a very interesting way. And once you know where these landmarks are, oftentimes they're a bit hidden, you can find very powerful trade setups. All right, so what do I mean by this? Well, let's take one step back. And, you probably will agree with me, by looking at the naked chart, it can be quite unpredictable, as you can see here. So an uptrend, out of the sudden may reverse into a downtrend and then back to an uptrend with seemingly no discernible pattern at all. And this gets even worse if you are on the very low time frames. Look at this 5-minute chart here, like up, down, up, and so forth. So quite erratic. It gets a bit clearer, and please take a note of that. It gets a bit clearer once you zoom out. Perhaps once you go to the 1-hour chart, or in this case, the 4-hour chart. Then suddenly things are not as crazy anymore, not as erratic. So here in the 4-hour chart, you can see that the patterns that you see, they're a bit more clear. So please keep this in mind. It will play an important role in just a bit. But let's go back to our landmark idea. So every chart has landmarks, and these landmarks can be created by all kinds of events. For example, an all-time high, and this historical high, could create a landmark, or an area where price made several swing lows or pivot lows in a row. So why is this interesting? Well, if you have noticed, or perhaps you have noticed already, these landmarks, they tend to be revisited at some point in the future. For example, here, this historical high, much later, was revisited here. Or this area of swing lows was revisited later on in time. Please take a mental note of this, because this is going to become important. All right, so these landmarks, depending on where they are, they oftentimes, or in fact, they always form what we call support and resistance zones. Now, support zone, for example, is an area of multiple swing lows where big money buy orders are stepping in, preventing price from going further down. And in fact, or instead, price will turn to the upside again. And typically these are created by, these large orders or buy orders that are coming in from the institutional players. And it's the same thing, but just reversed for areas of resistance, which create these swing highs, these pivot highs, where big sell orders are stepping in, preventing price from moving further up. Instead, price will go down instead. And these levels of swing highs or swing lows, these cannot be created by a small retail traders. These are created or caused by the big ones, the culprits, the big money traders, which have the buying power, to create these swing lows. So we as retail traders, we cannot create those. These are, the shots are called by these big players. But what we can do as retail traders, we can follow the patterns and profit in the process, if we are able, of course, to find these areas. Now, because in these areas, volume typically is extremely high. And in fact, for big money players, this is important because they want to get their big orders filled. These levels are also sometimes referred to as what is called liquidity zones, which ties back to the title of this presentation, which is called Liquid Fib. So the first ingredient to this is the fact that every chart has these liquidity zones. Now, if we are able to spot these zones, we can find promising trade setups. Let me give you an example. And of course, we're going to get to the live chart in just a bit. So here's an example. Let's have a look at this chart here. We can see, for example, that down here in this red area, you can see this little red rectangle here, we have an area of support. So what does it mean? What does support mean? Well, by the very definition, support means that price may have difficulty breaking through support to the downside, and instead it will bounce off instead towards the upside. And this is exactly what's happening here. Price went into the support zone, couldn't penetrate it, just went inside a little bit, and instead it bounced to the upside again. One of my favorite setups. Why? Because it's a low risk, high potential setup. Imagine, where would you put your stop loss? Just below the support zone, at a very near distance, putting very little risk on the table, and the upside potential typically outweighs the risk on the table by a factor of perhaps 2, 3, or 4. So this is a very powerful setup. Here's another idea. The zone break setup. Nothing lasts forever. No support zone lasts forever. No resistance zone will last forever. Eventually, it will be broken. And once it's broken, this gives rise to another powerful setup, the zone break setup, where a level is broken. You can see it here. And once broken, it's typically the abyss below if it's a support zone break, or blue skies ahead. And the price move that follows could be quite substantial. We can see it here. The support zone was broken, and price really took off to the downside. And yet another example of a setup which I really like, it is the zone break retrace setup. What does this mean? Well, let's consider this chart here. Here, a resistance zone is broken to the upside. You can see here, price breaks this resistance zone, initially goes further up, but then retraces. And you have probably heard it before. When resistance is broken, what happens to it? Well, it becomes support. So resistance can become support when broken, and vice versa. Support can become resistance when broken. And this phenomena gives rise to another powerful setup, the breakout retrace setup. So we have the initial breakout, price goes up, then retraces back to the broken level, which will now act as support, which gives you another great opportunity to re-enter into this long trade in this case, before price really takes off in the direction of the breakout move. That is the breakout retrace setup. And all these setups, which I have shown you, are possible because we were able to identify these levels. We were able to find out, where is my resistance level? Where's my support level? And so forth. Without knowing where these levels are, these setups would not be possible. So now the question is, how can we find these levels? Well, the good news is we have developed an indicator which specializes exactly in this. And this indicator is called Liquidity IQ. And what it does, I'm going to go to a chart in about 1 minute. What it does is it will do an instant technical analysis of your price chart. As soon as it is applied to the chart, it will show you exactly where are nearby resistance and support levels. Did a zone break take place? did a liquidity capture take place, which is a very specialized event. I'm going to talk about this in just a bit. All right, so without further ado, let's check out this indicator. We're going to use today's price action to showcase how powerful it can be. And of course, then, once we know how this indicator works, I'm going to show you how it can be combined with either a Fib retracement or a Fib extension tool. All right, so onto the chart. All right, so I'm going to switch over to my TradingView chart. And while I'm doing this, guys, if you have any questions, please don't be shy. Put those into the chat window of Zoom, and I will look at these questions as I'm going through this presentation. So the more the merrier, the more questions you have, the more fun this will be. All right, so this is today's price action. I'm going to start off with GC, the mini gold futures. And what you can see here is a TradingView chart. And, just as a side note, I should mention also that this indicator works for all major platforms, not just TradingView. It will also work on all asset classes and all time frames. But let's just start off with a futures chart, and it happened to be gold on the 5-minute time frame. And, this is the naked chart, but as soon as we apply the liquidity IQ indicator to it, you can see this. Do you see all these levels printed on the chart? These are your support levels, if they are reddish or violet, I guess, or purple, and resistance levels, if they are greenish. And look how many times price reacts to them. Look at how price went all the way down here, bounced off this level of support, and went instead of penetrating it, went to the upside, almost to the T. And this level here, just to showcase, was printed or was available to US traders all the way back here. So hundreds of bars ago, the indicator showcased this level, and then later on, price went down to it, almost to the T, and bounced off from it. This showcases a little bit how powerful these levels can be. All right, so this was for a resistance, support level, but let's look at the resistance. I'm going to look at many different instances today. So for example, here, price went all the way up to resistance and bounced off again. But you know what? Not all the time. There are many instances also where this doesn't happen. So the question now is, how can we discern whether price will respect this level or perhaps break through it? That would be a very good question. And the answer is not always easy. But to approach this answer, let me remind you what I said in the very beginning of this presentation. Do you remember when I said that things tend to be clearer or become clearer when we zoom out, when we go to the higher time frames? So on the lower time frames, like the 5-minute chart, things perhaps are not as clear. And it gets even worse if we go down to the 1-minute chart. For example, I'm going to change it up to the 1-minute chart. Look how, oops, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, look how many levels we have right now on this 1-minute chart. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Yeah, all over the place. A level here, a level there. So many different levels. And, it might be hard to see which ones have significance and which ones do not. I would totally agree with you that it's perhaps not so straightforward. But we have found a solution to this. We have integrated into this indicator a feature which we call reference time frame. You can indicate just right in the settings here which time frame the indicator should use as its base. So by default, it's the chart time frame. But if you're on the very low time frames, this is not always the best idea. So let me showcase what happens if I change this parameter from chart to something else, perhaps to the 15-minute time frame, and observe how these levels will change. So I'm going to change it right now. As soon as this is done, this takes a little while to calculate. Bang, the levels have changed. We now have much fewer levels on the chart. Why is that? Well, because they now come from a higher time frame. In this case, from the 15 minutes time frame. So we basically zoomed out without changing the chart. And this was very important to us because nothing is worse as a trader if you have to check out too many charts at the same time, especially when the markets are moving fast. You want to keep a clear mind, a clear head to focus on your trading decisions. So flipping through chart timeframes over and over again doesn't necessarily help with that. This is why we have integrated into this indicator the ability to pretend to be on a different time frame. So in this case, we told the indicator, hey, pretend to be on the 50-minute time frame. Or we could say, hey, pretend to be perhaps on the 30-minute time frame. If I change it up again, and look how these levels will change after this is done recalculating. It will always take a second or so. So the levels have changed again. Okay, go even higher, maybe the daily time, the hourly time frame. So levels changed again, and so forth and so forth. Of course, you can go really crazy. Also go to the daily time frame, but this might be too much of a leap. So in this case, no levels are shown. You would actually really have to zoom out to see where these levels are. So let me just quickly see if you can even find them. Yeah, they would be all the way down here, these levels. So on the daily time frame, of course, this would be too low level for gold on the 1 minute. And the reason for this is because gold has moved so far up that the original levels on the daily time frame are now way below the current price. Let me switch back to the 15-minute time frame. All right. So, all right, so let me just zoom out a little bit. Perfect. And you probably will agree with me that now the chart actually looks quite clear. Quite nice, in fact. So we can see how these levels were respected. Let me just quickly switch off. I can't scroll for some reason. Not sure why. It doesn't matter. But you can see that these levels were respected quite nicely. All right. So this is what happens when the indicator is first applied. And let me just quickly change it up. For some reason, I could not. Oh, there we go. Now I can scroll again. Oh, okay, perfect. Still not in this direction. Very bizarre, today's behavior of TradingView, but it doesn't matter. I can just go this way. Here you can see, look at how nicely these levels, here it was exceeded a little bit, but price bounced off. Then it went all the way down here to this level, almost to the T. If you follow this along, another approach here of this resistance level, price bounced off again, went down once again to support. And now we're kind of in the middle between support and resistance. All right, so I've showcased one important feature of this indicator, but let me show you another one. I'm going to go back to the settings here. I'm going to enable something which is called mentor mode. I'm going to switch this parameter to on. And as soon as this is done recalculating, you will see that the indicator actually annotates our price chart with noteworthy information. For example, it would point out to you, okay, where is my nearest support zone and what is the range of the support zone? Always keep in mind that, these levels are almost never lines in the sand. They're actually zones, which have, a bit of a, how should I say, a bit of a range to it. So here, let me just actually go to the 5-minute chart to zoom out a little bit further. You can see, for example, that the range here of the support zone is from 2529 to 2528, or very narrow actually, because it was so precisely calculatable. And the resistance zone up here went from 2557 to 2558. It's also quite narrow, but it doesn't always have to be this. All right, so you can see what is the range of these zones, but there's one more feature built in, the feature of a liquidity capture. And this can be super powerful because especially if combined with these levels. So a liquidity capture is a bar, like this down bar here, which approaches a support level with extraordinarily high volume. And if these two things come together, a liquidity capture event is printed, which oftentimes is a very strong indication that price will indeed reverse off this level. So this happens when price wicks into the support zone, cannot penetrate it, volume is extremely high, showcasing in this case that buyers are stepping in, buy volume is stepping up, preventing price from moving further down, and instead price will bounce off this level to the upside. All right. Okay, so this was the feature of a liquidity capture. Here, yet another event, just like this. Look at this event here. Price once again went down almost to the T, to the support level, which we knew about all the way back here, like many bars ago. Price went down. We had yet another liquidity capture event. This is denoted by this shaded area here. And price then bounced off from it towards the upside. It's quite magical. All right, so let's change it up. What else do we have? Let's change up symbols. Let's go to NQ. Big day today. All right. So this is NQ on the 5-minute time frame. And let's see what happened here. These are the NASDAQ futures. All right. Okay, so here we had the case prior or early on today that price went all the way up to this resistance zone. It exceeded it just a little bit, but not much, and then bounced off from it to the downside to the support zone, bounced off it again. You can see all these liquidity capture events here. Bounced off it again, and then it went up again. So up, down, up, and then it finally broke this resistance level. And if you just zoom in a little bit more, and actually I'm going to go to the 1-minute time frame just for 1 second, because I want to show you something that happens all the time. Let me just go back here, make this a bit bigger. So here we had the zone break. Price went above our resistance zone. It went up and up and up, almost by 80 points. So a nice move, but then it retraced back to the broken zone. And this is a phenomena which I see, or we see all the time in the markets. So after the zone is broken, it will go initially up, but then retrace back to the broken zone, which will now act as support, and price will then continue in the direction of the breakout. This is our classic zone break retrace setup, which worked out perfectly today, and then price really took off, as you can see here. Beautiful setup. We can see this all the time. All right, but let me go back to the 5-minute chart. Okay, so this was NQ. It really took off, but you may have asked yourself the question, how much more gasoline is left in this upwards move? Where may it end or take a break? Well, the market died down a little bit because the cash market closed. But I believe, I'm going to tell you why in a second, I believe that this move is not yet finished. It will go a bit further higher. So I believe, actually, in fact, it will go all the way to around 19,400 or 19,450. And I have a reason to believe that. And guess where I got this wisdom, or quotes, this wisdom from Fibonacci levels. So let me now show you, guys, how we can combine these liquidity zones, or these levels here, with the Fib tool built into almost every single trading platform. All right, so this is our next topic. But before I do this, let me just quickly go back to my slides and perhaps review, I don't know how many times you guys have heard it today already, what Fib levels actually are. Well, Fib levels, or Fibonacci, or the Fibonacci sequence, is actually a natural phenomena that exists in nature over and over again, in biology and astronomy and so forth. But for some reason, it also has, and I don't want to try to understand why that is. It just is. It also has a significance when it comes to price movements and technical analysis. For example, using Fib levels, you can predict how far a retracement will be after a strong trend move. You can see price went down, then went up again. And Fib levels allow us to project and to predict how much this retracement, this pullback will be. That's one use case for it. Another use case, and this is the one we're going to show you right now, is to predict how far the next trend move will be after the retracement took place. So keep this in mind. So I'm going to go back now to my chart, because what do we have here? Well, we do have, a move up. But the question is, how much more will this move continue? And here's now my prediction. So I'm going to predict now, using Fib, how much more gas is in this move. So for this, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to go back. Because what's very important to make this prediction is we need to know where did this move start? And in fact, this upwards move, you can see it here at the swing low, really started all the way back in Friday afternoon. It started. And price then, with a couple of pullbacks, consistently made higher lows and higher highs. You can see it here. And now eventually we broke above our resistance zone. So let's predict together how much further this move will go. So for this, I'm going to go to my tools here in TradingView. And of course, if you're using NinjaTrader or Thinkorswim or TradeStation, you have similar tools built into your platform. So I'm going to go here to my GAN and FIB tools, and I will select the trend-based FIB extension, which is a tool designed to predict how much further the next trend move will be. All right, let's use it. I'm going to use it. And the way it works is you will start off by highlighting or clicking on the starting point of your trend, which is down here. So I'm going to click on it, and I drag it all the way to the last swing high before this last retracement. So this one here, this was the last swing high, because we don't know yet if this is going to be a swing high here. So I'm going to click on this. All right. And then I'm going to drag it down all the way to the most recent retracement after the swing high, which is all the way down here. Done. All right. Okay. What do we see here? Perfect. We do see these levels now printed. And we can see that already by now, after the zone break happened, price exceeded, first of all, the 0.786 extension. You can see it here. It exceeded the 100% extension, this one here, and is now all the way on its way towards the 1.618 trend extension. And my prediction is that price will indeed continue towards this level. And I was able, there's two reasons for this. First of all, we already passed the 100% extension. So the next logical level would be 161.8%. All right, that's reason number one. But reason number two actually can be seen by zooming out a little bit, because this level happens to coincide. Let me just quickly go to happens to coincide with this level here, this old support level, which was broken back in the day, back on Tuesday last week. You can see this little thin purple line. Once support is broken, it will act as resistance. And in this case, at a very similar price range, we have the 161.8 extension and this former support level, which will now act as resistance, both together. And this is exactly what many technical analysts are using to predict where the next trend move may end. Of course, one could have said, okay, why didn't you say it will end here? Good question. I couldn't know for sure, but once it was broken, the next logical level really is only this one here, especially since it coincided with this broken support level that we had back last week. All right, so this is my prediction that this upwards move in the NQ will indeed continue to go towards this level here, towards 1900, 450. So if you want to be conservative, place your target perhaps just a bit below this level in case it will not completely reach it. Of course, if it's broken, should we also break this level, then, oh well, then the next target will be all the way up here, which perhaps is a bit too optimistic. All right, so this is one way how we can combine FIB with knowing where the support and resistance levels are. All right, so let's change it up one more time. And please, guys, if you have any questions about symbols, don't be shy. I'm going to have a quick look into the chat here. If there are some questions coming in, I don't see them yet. All right, let's change it up one more time. Let's go to Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin futures, in fact, MBT. All right, here we are also on the 5-minute time frame. The first thing you can see here is that we had a beautiful liquidity capture right up here. You can see it here. Price went all the way up to this resistance level. We had a liquidity capture indicating that high sell volume is stepping in, and as a result, price then went further to the downside. All right, and guys, let me just quickly pick up my my cheat here. Perfect, because I had written down a couple of interesting symbols. All right, so now this is a Bitcoin, but let me do the same exercise as we had done before. Let me try to predict what is going to happen next. Okay, in this case, we are going to use we're going to do a different prediction. We're going to predict where price will go to after this bounce. All right, how can we do this? Well, it's going to be a bit different because in this case, we're not going to predict where a trend move will go to. Instead, we are going to predict how big this retracement will be. It's a bit of a different type of prediction. So how deep are we going to go down after this bounce of this resistance level? So for this, I am actually going to use a different Fib tool. I am not going to use the Fib extension tool, but instead I'm going to use the classic one, the Fib retracement tool. All right, so I'm going to take it. And the way this one works is you are going to use your most recent swing low, because that's a bounce to the low side. So I'm going to start here and drag it all the way up to where we had the most recent bounce, the swing high. All right, perfect. And look what I see here. And this is once again a very, actually, let me quickly disable mentor mode here just to make the chart a little bit clearer. Okay, so look how, or where this level here, one of my favorite Fib levels, the 61.8% level is match. What is it matching up with? It's matching up with this support zone here. Once again, this is confluence. Two different technical indicators. Our liquidity IQ indicator finding these support zones and resistance zones, and our Fib prediction tool, our Fib retracement tool, is lining up almost to the T. And here my prediction would be, all right, that since this is such a common retracement level, that it is not unlikely that this price move, this bounce here, will go all the way down towards the 56,700 level, give or take, before potentially this upwards move that we've seen here will continue. And this is the power of combining Fib with other technical indicators. All right. So before I move on to some other charts, are there any requests? Let me see if we have something here. Can you show Ripple? Okay, I haven't looked at Ripple in a long time. That's from Dave, another crypto symbol. So XRP, USD, I guess. This one. All right. Okay. What do we have here? Okay, so let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so what do we see?
We might get a nicer chart, Daniel, actually on the Binance one, maybe. I'm just guessing. I haven't looked at it in a while either, but there might be more liquidity.
Yeah, this is a bit, the bars are quite low. Actually, let me change it up perhaps to the other one. This one here. Okay. Oh, this looks better. Yes. Okay. A bit more, or even though the levels are, I guess, somewhat similar, but yeah. So in fact, if I look at the symbol, guys, this is like a inside view into how I approach a chart. What I do typically is first get a bird's eye view of what is actually going on with this crypto. So for this, I typically do not start with the 5-minute time frame. Instead, I will zoom out a little bit. And I also like to zoom out on the naked chart. I'm going to hide my indicator here. And let's zoom out perhaps to the 1-hour time frame just to get a bit of a bird's eye view of what is going on with Ripple. All right, and I guess you don't need a PhD in finance to see that we've had quite a bit of a downtrend, just like with Bitcoin, I guess, in the past, since the summer, the end of summer. The price went down, it then found a low here, and then since then it's been retracing to the upside, but this could be just a pullback in this downtrend. So overall, I believe the trend is probably still bearish. And a good way to approach this is to also configure our liquidity IQ indicator with higher time frames, in this case perhaps the 4 hour, because since we're looking at the 1 hour here. All right, so let me just enable this, and we can see here, yes, indeed, we are somewhat within support. You can see it here, and resistance on Ripple, but the overall trend is definitely bearish. So, you know what? Another great use case for FIB. So let me go to my FIB retracement tool just to estimate how much more steam is in this retracement here. Where do we might go to? So I'm gonna go to my retracement tool. I'm gonna take the swing high here, go all the way down here, and let's see what we have. All right. So we can see here that we are currently, we busted through or broke through the 23.6% FIB retracement. Now we're in between 38.2% and 50%. And you know what? It is not uncommon that we may see an upwards move in Ripple towards either this resistance zone here, or perhaps even to the 61.8% retracement. As mentioned before, this is, at least in my experience, one of the most common ones where price is going to retrace to if we see a very healthy pullback before the overarching trend is continuing. So also for Ripple, I would estimate that price, at least initially, will go towards 57.2 or 0.5720, or perhaps even 0.58 around. Okay. All right. Perfect. So, but there's one more thing I wanted to show you. So we have seen now how FIB can be used to further confirm of what your resistance and support levels may show you. But there's one more tool, and this tool, and we use it all the time in our daily routine when we trade. This tool is called MA Rush, and the way this tool works is as follows. And I'm going to show you, first of all, perhaps just on NQ, how accurate this tool can behave. So this is the naked chart, but let me switch it on to, let me now switch on MA Rush. All right. So this is an indicator which will show you on your price chart, as the 1 hour chart, for example, in which direction is the current momentum pointing to. You can see these labels here: bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish. They're always alternating. Yeah. And we use these indications as a filter. So oftentimes when we see a nice setup, perhaps price is bouncing off a support zone, we like to confirm this setup with also a bullish MA Rush reading, and perhaps a FIB level in addition. So if I now switch on our Liquidity IQ tool, actually, let me go back to our nice 5-minute time frame, which we had before, just to explain this a little bit from a day trading point of view. Let me configure this with the 50-minute reference time frame. We can see, once it's done calculating, is that, for example, here, I'll just find a nice example of how this can work. Yeah, perfect here. So here, actually, let me just find a good example. Sometimes these good examples are not as clear, but for example, here we had a bearish MA Rush signal, and then price broke below the support level. And oftentimes, if these two align, for example, then this is extra confirmation that this breakout move is actually going to be a lasting one. So this is one use case for this MA Rush indicator, but it doesn't have to be the only one. We have clients which exclusively trade after these signals. So they go long when MA Rush is showing a bull signal. They stay long in this trade, then they just close it out or reverse it when the bear signal comes up. We've actually tested this on NinjaTrader using the NinjaTrader strategy builder, and the back test results were actually quite astonishing. By just following these signals. This is not how we trade manually, but as you can see here, these moves can be quite substantial. And the indicator achieves this kind of precision by doing what we call a higher time frame analysis, using a technique which is based on multi-time frame fusion. It's actually quite conservative. in changing direction. It prefers to stay in the trend for as long as possible, allowing us to really catch these big moves. And you can see it on all kinds of symbols. If I go to oil, for example, you will see here that MA rush. So oil has been quite bearish, but even on the smaller time frames, you can see here bullish, price went up, bearish, a big move, bullish, a big move, and so forth. And this works, of course, on all time frames. So if you go perhaps to the 1 hour time frame on oil, let me just take my Fib tool away here. We can see all these, very profitable signals along the way using the MA rush indicator. All right. So let me quickly go back to my slides, if I can find them. There we go. Okay. So MA rush is an indicator which will show you directly on the chart in which direction momentum is pointing to. You can either trade these signals outright, or you can use these readings as extra filter to confirm your trading idea that you may have in mind. And together with our liquidity IQ indicator, which shows you all these cool levels, MA rush works very nicely together because it can confirm your setup. And if everything lines up, for example, if you have price approaching resistance and MA rush at the same time is also bearish, these are really powerful setups because then two things are lining up. And if you also combine this further with Fib levels, you can have the trifecta play where everything really comes together. And as traders, oftentimes it pays out to be as selective as possible. Not just because, this will stack the odds in your favor, but you can also, feel good about this trade. Hey, I was patient enough. I put everything in line. I was waiting until everything lines up, and I'm very convinced that this trade can be a good one. Because psychology for traders is very important, and knowing that, hey, I put everything together in my powers that I can possibly do to so that the trade hopefully will work out. That's very important for your psyche, because if you just trade on a hunch, chances are that you will also panic much earlier because, hey, oh my God, I made the wrong decision, I was not careful enough, and so forth. But if you really check all the boxes, you wait until you have the perfect liquidity IQ setup that you wanted. It is confirmed by MA rush and ideally also by your Fib levels. Then you can check all these boxes and hopefully this trade then will pan out. All right, so before we look at some other charts, let me quickly explain to you how you can get hold of these two indicators. So we call these the dynamic duo, and they in fact are available for all major platforms. Of course, TradingView, we've seen this here, but also for NinjaTrader, for MotiveWave, MetaTrader, if you trade Forex, 4 and 5, and also Toss on Thinkorswim. So for all major platforms. And we actually have put together a very special offer. It's a big thank you for you guys joining us today, joining this very late session for the Timing Research Conference. And we call this the Liquidity IQ Super Package. And everything I'm going to show you right now or explaining is for lifetime. You will never have to pay a single extra dime. So keep this in mind, please. So this super package, of course, consists of our liquidity IQ indicator, which shows you all these smart support and resistance levels on your price chart. So typically this one alone reaches at 1,297. We're going to make you a special offer. We're going to supplement this by six bonuses. Bonus number 1 is our MA rush indicator, the one that shows you these bullish and bearish readings directly on the price chart. Bonus number 2 is an exclusive invitation to our next live trading workshop, which will take place on September 19th, which is next week on Thursday. And in this workshop, we are going to use our live account to day trade the market open. It starts at 9 a.m. in the morning, lasts for about 1.5 hours or 2 hours. And the objective is to use both indicators, liquidity IQ and MA rush and potentially Fib levels, to day trade the market open. We will primarily trade the futures markets, but also potentially some stocks if we see some interesting setups. So that's bonus number 2, an exclusive invitation to this live trading workshop. Bonus number 3 is another invitation, an invitation to our weekly live sessions. So these are members only sessions where we explain to you tips and tricks about our indicators. We're going to do a live market analysis. We're going to find a trade of the week every single week. We're going to point out one setup that we find interesting. And it's also a great opportunity for you to ask questions and to get to know your community. So this will be included as well in this package, and it is for life. Typically, it retails at $9.97 per year, but you will get this exclusive membership for free for life. Bonus number 4 is an ebook on how to use TimingResearch. And we're going to have 2 video guides with this offer. One on how to do what we call magnet zone trading, and the second video guide on how to use both the TimingResearch indicator and the Liquidity IQ indicator together. We call this dynamic duo trading. And all this is available for a special price for life for only $9.97. So if you want to take advantage of this, all you need to do is to go to TradingIndicators.com, which is our online store /IQ. So TradingIndicators.com/IQ. And this link also has been posted into the Zoom chat box. All right, and a quick reminder what's included. Of course, our Liquidity IQ indicator, which shows you all these important levels on your price chart, so you don't have to figure these out yourself. You will get our TimingResearch indicator, which shows you these powerful bearish or bullish momentum readings on your chart. Especially if you combine TimingResearch with Liquidity IQ, you can find really interesting and powerful setups. You will also get an exclusive invitation to our member sessions, which take place every single week on Tuesday at noon Eastern time. The next one is scheduled for next Tuesday, September 17th, always at 12 p.m. If you cannot make it, don't worry. These are recorded, and you can watch the recording afterwards. You will also be invited to our Discord channel, which oftentimes is the fastest way to get some help or learn about tips and tricks or learn about interesting trade setups. That's included as well. I forgot to mention this when I went through the offer. You will be invited to our next live trading workshop next Thursday, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern, where we're going to live trade using real money, no demo account. It's going to be a real money account. We're going to day trade the market open. So 9 a.m. next Thursday. And oftentimes I find by following along live trading, you learn the most about how to use an indicator, about how to configure it, about how to, what we consider a quality setup and so forth. So I encourage you to come along and tag along at this workshop as well. This will, of course, will also be recorded. And then we have these 2 video guides, which we'll also use to supplement the offer. So guys, think about it. It would be nice to have you on board. We have a very nice and interactive community. And of course, if you have any questions, oftentimes either Nicholas or myself, we jump on a call with our clients to make sure that you are perfectly set up. All right, so this is the offer. But before we drop off, let me see if there are any questions or symbol requests. So Jeffrey said he had to drop off. He's wondering if we offer a better price than what's on our website. Yes, we do. So these are the prices on our website, but we have put together a very special bundle price, which gives you a huge discount. Okay, so a couple of questions. Another crypto, I believe. All right, from Dave. So let me switch over to my trading view. Let me see if I can find this crypto. Truth be told, I've never heard about this before. What is this? This is yeah, it's a crypto symbol. So let's see. This is the 1 hour time frame. Okay, it went bullish here. A nice bullish reading with a very substantial move. But let me switch on our levels to see what comes up. And one thing that you want to do, and one thing that I do all the time, is to first of all make sure that the reference time frame used matches or is compatible in quotes with your chart time frame. So here we are on the 1 hour time frame. So let's put the reference time frame to the 4 hour. just to get some levels which are more significant to the 1 hour time frame. All right, perfect. Oh, nice one. Oh, look at this, guys. So here, this is once again my favorite setup, even though it happened a bit late. So here we broke over resistance. So resistance was broken, price initially took off, then the retracement. And guess where it retraced to? Almost to the T, to this broken resistance zone, which now acts as support. And once again, retracement to this broken zone, one more time and one more time. And then finally, price took off again. We broke above this former high here, and now we're kind of consolidating in this area. Wow. Very interesting symbol and very nice levels, very clean levels on this time frame. So yeah, I like it a lot. And now, of course, we are right next or right in this, resistance zone. We'll see what's going to happen. We initially broke over, pulled back, and now price is kind of hovering around this level with a lot of volume going on. You can see all these liquidity capture events happening at this level. To me, since we have like this up and down, this shows a bit of indecision right now. And I personally would wait probably to see if we see another decisive move either above or if not, perhaps below this level. If we see a level move below, we may as well see a move down all the way to this support zone. All right, and there's another question. Let me quickly see what it is from Umari. Does the offer include indicators in all the mentioned platforms? Good question. Actually, no, it does not. So you would have to pick one platform. The platform of your choice. For most platforms, so if you, for example, pick TradingView first, or if you pick Ninja Trader first, and just quickly go to the selection here. There we go. Just a second. So for most platforms, you will be able to switch afterwards. You can, let's say you start on TradingView and decide, hey, I really prefer to have it on Ninja Trader. No problem. We can switch you for free. This is a free service that we offer. The only exception for this is Thinkorswim. So once you use Thinkorswim or you were switched to Thinkorswim, you'll be stuck with that platform. And this has to do with the way access management is handled on Thinkorswim. There's also the option to get a second license for a second platform. So if you want to use it really for both TradingView and Ninja Trader, let's say, you can get a second license at a substantial discount. For this, you simply have to send me a quick mail and I will explain to you what your options are. All right, another question. When do you take profit in this trade? All right, let's see. Depends on what the setup is. So now for the NQ trade, the NQ move of today, I would be using the Fib tool to estimate how much further this upwards move will go. Okay. Now, if it is a different trade, let me just find you a good one. Which one did we have? Was it gold? So let me switch over to, just trying to find a good symbol with a nice setup. So let's go to gold here. I believe that's a nice one. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, so this is gold. Now, so this is a different setup, of course. Here we are kind of almost smack down the middle between support and resistance. You can see it here. These are this resistance, this is support. And so this is what we call a magnet zone setup, because price is somewhat in the middle. So how do we know where price will go next? Will it go next to the support zone down here, or will it go up to resistance? In fact, this is what we teach in our trading room. So in this kind of scenario, you will actually look at your MA rush indicator. It tells you, hey, momentum is bullish. Price move has been going up. So your bet would be, or your anticipation would be, price will first visit this resistance zone up here. So if that's the case, if that is our prediction, we would place our stop loss, our profit just below this resistance zone. Why below? Because price may bounce off from it. And we don't want this. So we want to actually then close up the trade. We don't want to give away profit if price bounces off to the downside. So in this case, the take profit would be just below. Yeah, and in fact, we do have a feature. There's so many options in this indicator. We do have a feature to actually indicate where your target will be. So by default, it's disabled because we want our charts to be clean, but you can enable it. Show my long target and my long stop loss. You enable it, it will recalculate, and will show you, hey, my target should be right here, just as I mentioned before, just below this resistance at 2,554.9, for example. All right, so that was that question. And can you predict where SNX is going? Maybe. Let's check it out. So I believe that's a stock probably. And David, do I still have some time? I know you told me I can I can keep going if you maybe just this more this simple in addition. Okay.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, take a few extra minutes. Yeah, you're welcome.
SNX. Okay, all right. Okay, first of all, I can see right off the bat. Let me just disable these stop losses right now, so it stays a bit clean. So right off the bat, this is the 1 hour chart. I can see that we are near support down here. We just bounced off the support level actually quite nicely. Good. So, but for this, let me just zoom out a little bit on this particular symbol, see where we're coming from. All right. So actually, it's quite respectful of these levels. So here, nice bounce to this resistance, a bounce below. You know, if this alternation, I think this stock may be consolidated. Let me just zoom out a little bit more. Yeah, for this big move up, we're now consolidating here. My prediction, but don't quote me to it. Earnings are coming up here. I mean, we did have a bounce here of the support level. I would not be surprised, even though Rush is bearish, because this move has been going down. But since we're alternating a little bit between these levels, I would not be surprised if we do see, in fact.
Oh, Daniel.
Yeah.
This is a super nice chart, but Sonra actually meant a crypto called SNX, called SNX USD.
Okay, well.
Good find, though. Yeah.
It is a good find. Okay, well, I'm going to get to this in a second. So if I had to predict this one, I would say it's going to probably retrace at least to like 116. And if you want to measure this out by connecting this move down here to our Fib levels, and again, I like the 61.8. So this would be somewhere here, like 117, 118 could be my prediction here. Okay, but let me go to to the crypto version of this. All right, so SFX. I guess I'll use Binance. All right, what do we have here? And okay. All righty, so this one here. And again, I like to get a bird's eye view of this symbol first, so we can see. Let me just go a bit further back. Yeah, so this one has been trending down quite a bit for a while. Now we are once again, this is the 1 hour chart, in this resistance zone. So here my prediction would be, you can see all these liquidity captures happening at this zone of resistance, that we're going to see a move further down. Again, this is the 1 hour chart. Let me perhaps zoom in a little bit, maybe from a day trading point of view. Let me go to the 5 minute and configure liquidity IQ with the 30-minute time frame to see what we can find. Alrighty, so here, yeah, here actually we are actually we broke above this resistance zone. This is a much smaller time frame. Price went up, it retraced a bit, not all the way down to this broken zone, and now we're kind of in the middle between support and resistance. Yeah, from okay, so we went bearish here. To me, this is almost like once again a magnet zone trade where we are between support and resistance. And given the fact that this symbol is has been bearish for so long, I would not be surprised if this is the beginning of a move downwards to this support zone down here, or at least to this zone here, which this resistance zone, which will now act as support. So my prediction would be, and would trust this Rush reading, that this is going to go more bearish. So that's my prediction. All right. Perfect. Okay, so any other questions? I don't see anything coming in. All right, so then let me just remind you one more time that this offer is a limited time offer. We need to keep our spots at this live trading workshop, for example, limited to make it very personal, to give the best possible learning experience. So don't wait too long. It's at tradingindicators.com/IQ. And as I mentioned before, it would be great to welcome you guys on board in our trading community. It's a very vibrant community. We have a Discord channel. We give weekly market sessions. We have boot camps all the time and training sessions. And it would be really nice to welcome everyone on board. So think about it. And yeah, David, that's pretty much it for me. There's one more question there. How long is this package good? So this package is good until the end of the Timing Research Conference. So David, I believe there's one more day left. Is that correct? In this conference?
Yes. Tomorrow we have a
so that's
good day tomorrow too.
So the offer will be valid, of course, until the end of tomorrow. All right, guys. So if there was a question which was not covered, you can also always reach out to me via our homepage, tradingindicators.com. In the main menu, you see a contact item. Click on it. It will open up a contact form. Drop your message there. It will go straight to my inbox, and I will make sure to answer every single question that I will receive.